Koh The Face Stealer 2. Okay, so the original Koh The Face Stealer was a really cool concept, and I think it was particularly dealing with narcissistic individuals. Um, the second part of this series, um, in the second part of the series, I want to focus on a person who, instead of just focusing on a person who utilizes a person's emotions to harm them, I want to kind of demonstrate um, that it's not the only method that code uses. Code tricks you into thinking that you can express your emotions. And that's ultimately how code steals your face. It's kind of a reversal, right? Um, in the Naruto, not Naruto, in the Avatar series, the Avatar: The Last Airbender, Aang is prompted before he goes to see Ko. And this was a very important thing that he was prompted, because if he went to Ko without getting the knowledge um, of what Ko could do, then Ko would have the advantage. But I believe Roku is the person who gave him the advantage. Roku knew that he needed to know that, otherwise Aang would be doomed. He would lose his face. Uh, and ultimately his quest would be over for a large part because he wouldn't have a face. Um, so when Aang went to go see Ko, Aang was prepared. He was on guard. He knew that Ko was trying to get an emotion out of him. Um, and this is something I believe that a lot of people, when they interact with other people, um, they don't realize that sometimes, here's the thing about the real world, the codes in the real world, we don't really know. A lot of times we're not prompted. um, some people aren't really raised to understand the true dynamics of things and how things actually work. So whenever they encounter people, whenever they encounter certain people, they don't realize that the person that they're speaking to isn't engaging with them on a completely humanistic level. They're engaging with them on a level that's very calculative and Machiavellian, and they're attempting to see what they can get in terms of the advantage over the person, and that's the main point of the conversation. It's a chess game for them. It doesn't actually, like, it's not benevolent. The conversation isn't benevolent. It's kind of it's just business. Um, if that adds any depth to it. Um, so the difference between the first video and the second one, just to reiterate, is that um, the first one, Aang was prompted. The second one, imagine if Aang was prompted, but then Ko actually managed to trick Aang into a sense of security, right? So if he could do that, then perhaps Aang would actually end up losing his face. Now, the modern example of this is you have certain movements that are saying that, for example, men should express their emotions. And they're saying that the expression of this emotion is good, things like that. But this is, when they say this, they don't really weigh the benefits and the disadvantages fairly of doing this from a male perspective. Uh, but the thing is, would you expect Ko the Face Stealer to actually tell Aang the benefits and disadvantages of expressing emotion fairly? No, Ko's going to do anything he can to steal Aang's face. So in the second iteration, let's just say in a hypothetical, and let's just say, yes, he's still prompted by Roku. He's not going into the situation unbeknownst. He's not going without knowing what's coming. But he goes in and he's gaslighted into a false sense of security. So Cole uh, he goes in thinking, and he speaks it out. He's like, no, you're trying to trick me, right? But and even if he doesn't, he's still gaslighted into a sense of security. And that sense of security is ultimately Koh trying to fish for an opportunity to take what he wants. And you have people in the real world that do this to other people. Um, I spoke of a movement. I spoke of the F movement and how it does that, and how it kind of tries to lull people into a false sense of security in order to get what it wants, in order to extract things from the human animal. Like any other business, like any other movement, there's always a deeper and darker intent that people may not have realized. Um, but okay, so simply put, um, the first tactic for Koh is to just try and take it straight out. The second tactic is to lull the person into a false sense of security. And that security can come from gaslighting the person into believing that whatever they, or getting them, and when I say gaslighting, I mean getting the person to believe that they are perfectly safe and that there is no reason why they shouldn't be able to do what they're trying to keep from doing, right? And once the person lets up or drops their guard, then this is another opportunity for Koh the Face Stealer to come and to steal their face. Now, here's the thing. Uh, Koh will come and steal your face when you relent from the thing you're trying to protect, right? The painful thing about this is, just the way I interpret it is, you lose you lose your own sense of self-respect. You lose parts of your pride, like your pride is stripped from you. Parts of your, like, it's just a painful experience. It's a painful experience that dismembers your person. It causes issues psychologically. Um, Now, you do have very adept people that do this, but I would say for a lot of people, this is fairly common. This is fairly common to run into. Um, Obviously, read between the lines for what I'm saying, and for what I'm insinuating about Koh the Face Stealers. Um, but yeah, Koh the Face Stealers get their power from, now sometimes their power comes from people not being prompted, so people not having the true information for how they are and what they actually do. um, some people are told that what if someone said, oh, Cole's nice, Cole is awesome, man, you can hang out with Cole's right. And then when you're next to Cole, you let your foot down, or you let your feet out, you have fun, you're just sitting there chilling, right? Meanwhile, your whole life, let's just say your whole life you've been raised to think Cole was awesome, that Cole could never do any wrong, because you were raised by a Cole, right? But then you run into Coles in the future, um, and guess what? You let your foot out, you let your feet out, you let your hair out, right? And you have fun, you chill out, you listen to music, you vibe out, and then you're just chilling. But then all the while, Cole's just waiting. He's like, is this guy, is this person here gonna express themselves? And guess what? Right when you do, your face is stolen. And unbeknownst to you, there was no way you could know. But the scary part is, um, it happens, and then it happens again, and then it happens again, and then you eventually learn that Koh the Face Stealers, regardless of what they tell you and what people tell you about them, you never really, like, it's always a mystery, because you never have enough people that know about Koh the Face Stealer. There's always, like, they never know the true intent of Koh the Face Stealer, so they always assume that Koh is cool, or they'll always tell you that Koh is cool. And the people who who already know Koh's true intent. They're not screaming it to the masses. They're almost they're almost shell shocked by it, and they're just dealing with it personally. And maybe you have a couple of people, announcing it here or there in private forums, but those people would be shamed, right? Because Koh the Face Stealers are wonderful. They would never do any wrong. This is what gives Koh their power. This is what gives Kohs their power, is the plausible deniability, is the reputation of not being so bad. Uh, Koh uses this to his Kohs use this to their advantage, and I guess this is the dangerous thing. It's good to learn information before you put yourself in situations where your face can be stolen. One thing I would say is, eventually you will have to throw fire to the flame and just learn by mistake. This is kind of the nature of life for the most part. You kind of just have to do things and then fail, do things and then fail. A lot of times it's embarrassing. A lot of times it's humiliating and things like that. And that's where I say you lose your face. You don't really forget those situations when they happen, and they kind of scar you in a way. Um, it makes it harder for you to want to interact with people on that level, because you're always thinking in your head, is this a Koh? Is this a person? Are they a Koh I'm dealing with, or is this a human being? Is this a decent person, right? Koh the Face Stealer.